Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Going to just double check. Am I on? I am live. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to Wednesday. It's hump day. We're halfway home. In beautiful Creston, British Columbia today. It's a sunny afternoon, finally. We've been cloudy all day, but only about 35, 36 degrees. Not all that exciting. If you're just joining the channel, let me know where you're watching me from and tell me what your high temperature was today and make me jealous if you're down south. I'll tell you, folks, I've been doing these lives now for a couple of days in a row, trying to work them out and see how they're coming together. And people seem to like them. I love the interaction with my viewers and my subscribers. And speaking of subscribers, I got to thank you folks out there. A month and a bit ago, 5 weeks ago, early December, I had 70 subscribers. I've been doing this channel since August. And today, yesterday was 238, and right now 241. I just added 3 more today, and the subscriber count is just building and coming, and it's fantastic. And I so appreciate you coming on board. I know there are a lot of you out there who catch a video or two of my channel, or watch 3 or 4, or come around every few days. Welcome back if you're coming back, and appreciate you watching what I'm doing. My view counts are going up as well. They still continue to grow. I think we're approaching 37 or 38,000 views. Doesn't sound much if you compare me to Casey Neistat, but I'm not Casey Neistat yet. Don't know if I ever will be. I doubt it. It's fantastic. About a month and a half ago, I was doing 150 views a day, and now it's 850, 750 a day. And so I just see that meter, turn over on my view counts. I'll see it go 34,000, 35,000, 36,000. It's fantastic. I don't take anything for granted. I really appreciate all you folks out there who are watching what I'm doing. I hope I'm doing it right for you. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope I'm not boring you with this stuff. I guess if I were boring you, the numbers would plummet off the face of the earth. So I suppose maybe I've got something going. Today, I've got a few topics I wanted to talk about, sort of updates on what's going on in the cruising world. But as usual, I like to throw the floor open to any viewer out there who want any information about going on a cruise, finding a good deal on a cruise, information about a cruise line, or what cruises are better for this or for that. Anybody that's getting ready for a wedding or thinking about a wedding, having a wedding on a cruise ship is not a bad idea. Boy, it's all there. You got everything in-house. Cruise lines are set up for you. I know where people have had weddings where they take the cruise with the wedding party, and it might be a week-long cruise to Mexico or Caribbean, and then they'll target a specific location on the itinerary as the place where the wedding is going to be held. Maybe it's on a beach, in the Cayman Islands, or in Mexico somewhere on one of the stops. And I'll tell you, the ship can help you. The cruise line can help you coordinate the whole deal, and it's just fantastic. They make great wedding planners, and it might turn out to be more economical than you think, compared to trying to have the wedding, in a church, and then renting a hall and getting a band or a DJ, and then all the flowers and all the settings. And oh my God, for wedding photos, you couldn't pick a better setting than using a cruise ship, either as a background or having wedding photos taken of the wedding party on the ship in various locations. Man, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people have had weddings on ships, and they've been just super successful. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about an update regarding the hurricanes, Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria, that hit the Caribbean back in, I guess, September. A whole month. It was just one system after another was hitting those islands, and Dominica got hit, and of course Puerto Rico big time. St. Thomas, St. Maarten, St. Bart's, the Tortola, and Turks and Caicos. The Bahamas kind of got sideswiped, but nothing serious. Florida got hit. Of course, we all know about Houston getting nailed with their hurricane. So it was a rough year, and a number of cruise locations, in the Eastern Caribbean are just went offline. I mean, their entire infrastructure was destroyed or badly damaged, and the governments of those islands and the folks in the tourist business, a lot of them were wiped out, and they had to rebuild fast. And so starting in September, October, November, piers were repaired and in some cases rebuilt, and tourist facilities. Just when you get off the cruise ship, off the gangplank, normally within a couple hundred feet of the pier are usually all the first batch of souvenir shops, where you can buy duty-free stuff or what have you. And these businesses were all wiped out. I mean, they were flooded out, blown away. They had to completely be rebuilt from scratch. Inventory had to be brought back in, and insurance had to be calculated. And I'm sure a lot of operators are still scrambling financially to try to get back on their feet to be able to take care of the next wave of tourists that will inevitably come, as we kind of get more back to normal. And then just off the pier, you have all of the tour bus operators, the taxi cab drivers. How many taxi cabs were flooded out, and tour buses destroyed, blown over, and that kind of thing. It would have been pretty devastating. The fishing charter operators, a lot of these vessels were lost. We all saw these overhead photos of these little harbors where 200 little vessels were swept up by the wind, and they were all just shoved over like a kid in a bathtub. Just swiped all the vessels over to one side of the harbor or the bay, and they were all upside down on their side, flooded out. Some boats ended up on top of apartment buildings, 2-story apartment buildings or condos. I mean, it was total devastation. And then, of course, you had the other issues, the businesses on the islands that were like the grocery stores. Police stations were destroyed, insurance companies, lawyers' offices, hotels, of course, and then the private the resorts themselves. The 1 week all-inclusive resort operators, the 2-weekers. All of these guys were hit badly. St. Thomas, it was bad. St. Maarten, it was bad. It just went on and on and on. And the good news is today, piece of good news came out. Carnival just landed a ship. I think it was yesterday. It's called the Carnival Glory with 3,400 passengers. Landed in St. Thomas, and that's the first full-blown cruise ship on a regular cruise to come back to St. Thomas, and the passengers were able to disembark and enjoy the island and all of what it has to offer. And I know St. Thomas has a great cable car ride that it offers, that it operates, that takes you right to the top of the island, where you get just a fantastic view of the whole place. I did a video on the cable car ride in St. Thomas, and I lucked out. My wife and I got there on a day where we were the only cruise ship in town. There have been days where there were up to five at one time there. Multiply 5 cruise ships times 3,000 passengers in some cases, sometimes 3,500 passengers on average. I mean, you're talking 17,000 people hitting St. Thomas. But we were there that one day we were there. We were the only ship. We were on the Explorer of the Seas. Still, we had 3,800 passengers. But I'll tell you, it was calm and quiet and a perfect sky, not a cloud in the sky, absolute blue sky. We took the cable car ride. We were probably maybe the 10th people to be there. We were nice and early. Went up to the top, and there was 5 people hanging around. And by the time we left, an hour or so later, hour and a half later, then there were about 35 people there. And even then, it's calm and quiet. Thankfully, the screaming kids hadn't arrived yet. But I'll tell you, it was fantastic up there. We took some great videos and some photos, and I put them on. I posted those on my YouTube video, and it's had a lot of positive comments. That's a great way to spend some time, and cheap. I mean, $12-15 each or something like that to go up there, and an hour and 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you want. Spend all day if you want. They don't care. You can walk down if you want, but I didn't want to do that. And then up at the top, they had nice, clean bathrooms and snacks and drinks. And my wife ended up getting a Red Stripe beer from Jamaica. She when she enjoyed those when we used to live in the Cayman Islands, and so she saw those were available. She grabbed one of those. So we enjoyed that up there. So St. Thomas is back in business, which is great to hear. I also have read that Carnival is landing a ship in Saint Martin. I'm just going to get my glasses on here so I can read my notes. The Carnival Sunshine will land in Saint Martin next week, and that's the first Carnival cruise ship to go back to Saint Martin since the disaster of the hurricanes. And the pictures out of Saint Martin were just terrible. They were really, really bad. It really got whacked. But again, Saint Martin is coming back too. I think we've got a viewer here, Matt. Hey, Matt? How you doing, buddy? You're back. Nice to see you. I've changed my time a little bit to 5 o'clock Eastern. And I was just talking about the effects of Hurricane Irma and Maria on the Caribbean and how things are coming back for some of the islands, which is nice to see. I did read earlier, not too long ago, about how Grenada, the small island nation of Grenada, and it's way down in the Leeward Islands. It's down towards Trinidad Tobago area, closer to Venezuela than Miami, really. Anyway, Grenada, they had negotiated with cruise lines after those hurricanes hit to accept more ships into its port. And they were looking at something like 70,000 more passengers to come to the island for this winter season. And for Grenada, that's massive. That's huge to have that many more tourists come ashore. And so they were gearing up with their local tour operators to handle the increased number of passengers. Passengers are money. The other island that really stepped up was the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands, I lived there, and so I know that they're very entrepreneurial down there. Of course, they're known for offshore banking. I think they're the 4th largest banking center on the planet, and with virtually every bank in the world of any size with an office there. Anyway, it was not uncommon for the Cayman Islands to have, say, 4 or 5 cruise ships a day pop into the island and stop by. But this year, they had applications from all the cruise lines for more access, and they were allowing up to 7 cruise ships a day, 7 cruise ships a day to come to the Cayman Islands. And I'll tell you, as a resident, if I were there, I wouldn't be happy about it, because you have to understand that the island is imagine a capital letter L laying on its side. So the long end of the island is like this, and the short end of the island is like that. It's 20 miles across and 10 miles up. That's all it is. It's not like a massive, place like Jamaica, which is 100 and something miles across and so on, or 200 miles across. Cayman is 20 by 10. And there are a number of places you can go on the island if you're a visitor, from a cruise ship, but you can't get too far away from from the landing area to do it, because after all, it's 20 by 10. So the entrepreneurs on the island, they know no limits. They're just saying, bring them all. We'll take 50,000 people a day. They want the money. They make a ton of money. And every cab driver, it's Christmas come early when 7 cruise ships show up, let alone 5. Every tour bus operator, car rental agencies rent cars just for the day. Then you've got, of course, the jewelry stores downtown and the tourist shops downtown. You've got Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville is there. You got a Hard Rock Cafe right down there, and these are American type prices or more. It's good dollars for the entrepreneurs. And as an expatriate, an expat living there, I couldn't own a business down there. I couldn't have a t-shirt shop on the side when I was doing my financial work over here. So I was only an employee of a brokerage firm handling my clients' investments. I couldn't have an interest in a secondary business. But I knew Caymanians who live there permanently and have Caymanian status. These folks are very entrepreneurial. And, you got, brother Billy, who's running the t-shirt shop, and mom and dad have put money into it, and brother and sister have put money into it, and the other brother or the sister, they fly to the mainland in the United States and they order t-shirts and they get them printed up with, silk screen images of the islands or palm trees, or it just says I love the Cayman Islands, whatever, and then they bring those over by freight or through the air or whatever to the shop, and then help the brothers stock up the store and keep everything going. So you've got islanders down there who are very entrepreneurial and very savvy. And if you think you're landing on an island where, it's it's a tranquil tropical place, and it reminds you of the fairy tale Caribbean island place, and you're going to find a cheap deal from a local. Think again. You're not going to get that. You're not going to find $4.99 t-shirts like you do, say, in downtown Manhattan. In New York, if you shop around in New York, which I've done, you can find t-shirts for $9.99. Then you find some for $7.99. They're the same t-shirt. Then for $6.99, and if you really shop, you can find them for like 3 for $10, 3 for $9.99. Not in the Cayman Islands. No way. They start at $9.99 for the crappy ones that they took a design and thought it would sell and it didn't sell. Those are $9.99. And the ones that sell really well, they're $14.99. They're $17.99. They're $19.99. And some of these shops, they're kind enough to price in US dollars. But some of the stores, they go with the old Cayman Islands currency prices. And just so you know, if you're not familiar, a Cayman dollar is $1.20 US. So if it's $10 Cayman for a t-shirt, it's 12 American dollars. The Cayman Islands are so wealthy. The island is so rich with cash and wealth that its currency is pegged at 120 to the US dollar. So Americans are at a 20% disadvantage. And as a Canadian, we get hammered because the American dollar is, our dollar's worth 75 cents American. And in the Caymans, we're worth another 20% less. We're down to 60 cents. So it's rough. Anyway, let's see who we've got here. We have anyone on here? Paula is back in the house. Hey, Bruce, 37 degrees here in Hanover. Still cold, but warming up by Friday. Finally, don't have to wear the Christmas Story snowsuit attire. Fantastic. Way to go. That's great. Here in Creston, it's a gorgeous sunny day. You can see this side of my face is all shiny. This side is dark. We're about 38 degrees today, and the sun came out about a half an hour ago. It took quite some time. If you're just joining my channel, send me a text. Put in there, where are you watching me from, and what's your high temperature today? I want to know who's got the warmest temperature out there, and where are you following me from? Because this is kind of new for me, and I just get a thrill watching you guys and having you guys watch me. It's fantastic. Anyway, the Cayman Islands, they stepped up when the cruise ships came a-calling and saying, look, we can't take ships to St. Thomas for a while. We can't take ships to St. Maarten. There's other islands like St. Croix. We can't put a cruise ship in St. Croix until probably February. Hopefully sooner. And so for months, the Caymans were saying, oh yeah, bring him on. And they were allowing up to 7 cruise ships in a day to come to the island. Absolutely unbelievable. There were days where 21,000 cruise ship passengers were coming onto the island to see what's going on in the Caymans. I mean, 21,000. I mean, my God, the island has 35,000 people that live there full time. And normally there are, 5,000 to 10,000 tourists who fly in and will hang out for a week or, 2 weeks or something like that, or visit friends who have condos down there. But to have 21,000 all congregate right in the heart of downtown Georgetown, where they have 2 concrete piers that can accept the tenders, because no cruise ship can bring its ship right to the pier in Georgetown, Cayman Islands. There isn't one. They have to park about a half a mile offshore, and then the passengers go down the elevator to about the 4th or 5th level of the cruise ship, and they get on the tenders that are either supplied by the cruise line or tenders that come from the shoreline, which again are Canadian owned and operated. Money. And they pick the tourists up and they ferry them right downtown to the 2 concrete piers. and you get off these tenders, and you're right in downtown Georgetown, and I'll tell you, it's mayhem. It's complete mayhem, complete chaos. I can tell you that a block away, maybe a block and a half away, there are chickens and roosters in some of the people's yards, and that can fool some passengers, because the passengers think, you see, we've come to this quaint little island, and you see these chickens and roosters. You can hear them, and we're in a place where it's the old school. It's what it was like in the old days. No, it's just a Caymanian who's happened to have a house in that location since the 40s or the 50s. Still got the tin roof on it. It's probably grandma and grandpa now in their 80s, and you won't give them up, and they kept the chicken and the roosters for whatever reason. And the town of Georgetown, city of Georgetown, hasn't got the heart to tell them they can't do it. So the tourists get fooled that, it's old school, but it's not, because the rest of the Cayman Islands is all developed out. It's all first world, and it's all first class. Matt says we're at 35 here in Manchester, UK. Right on, Matt. Fantastic. Crash just popped in to say hi. It's dinner time for us. -5 today, but tomorrow 6 degrees. Wahoo! That's Ottawa, I believe. Way to go. That's fantastic. Anyone else out there, let me know what your temperature is today and where you're watching from. Fantastic. Yeah, the Cayman Islands, I'll tell you, once you get off the ship and you're in that port area, oh man, it's just complete mayhem. And your money. You're a tourist, but you are money to these guys. The island gets paid so many dollars for every tourist that gets off a tender. The cruise ships, they just have to pay that. I don't know if it's $10 a day or something like that. I remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I lived there, that was a big discussion point for the Caymanian budget. The government had to have a budget every year to make ends meet. And since they don't have income tax on the Cayman Islands, it has to come from other sources. And tourism is a big one. So if you fly in and you stay in a hotel, you're paying anywhere from, I think, 12 to 20% hotel tax, which goes to the government, tourist fee. Renting a car, you have to buy a Caymanian driver's license. So you show your driver's license from your hometown, and that qualifies you to buy a Caymanian driver's license for, say, I think it used to be a flat fee of like 10 or 15 bucks for either one day or whatever the distance time was. I can't remember. They might now have a daily charge. I don't know how that works. That was just a cash grab. It's a pure cash grab. And there wasn't, I don't think they had a tax on top of it. They might now have a tourist tax on top of everything else. Because the island, they have excellent infrastructure. The island has first-rate hospitals, first-rate roads, beautiful new airport. They just modernized the airport to the tune of 60 or 70 million bucks cash. They have it. So the tourists coming in go a long way to making it work for the residents. But the residents have to pay the price from about 7, 8 in the morning when they arrive. The ships come in and the tourists start arriving on the tenders until about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, when the last of the tenders are heading off the island back to the ships, and the ships slowly turn around and head off to their next destination. And from about 5:30, 6 in the evening until about 6, 7 in the morning, it's nice and quiet and calm, and the roads are still, and we don't have a lot of traffic issues. But the next morning, here we go again. And since this disaster with Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria, what are you going to do? We had a tough time. Everyone had a tough time, so the island had to take in, or just decided they would take in extra passengers. I know Cozumel did the same thing, and I think a few other ports like Honduras, the country of Honduras, they took in extra cruise ships as well. So that's the latest on the Hurricane Irma and Maria updates as to what's going on there. One last thing I'm going to mention about cruise ship inspections. I know I've mentioned this the last couple of days, but I just read this morning. I found out that if you operate an ocean liner like a cruise ship and any commercial vessel, you come into a U.S. port, you could be subject to a surprise inspection for the CDC, for health inspection. No advance warning. And 2 inspectors will come on board your ship, and you have to give them full access to anything they want to see. And the cruise liners, they get inspected twice a year, once every 6 months, mandatory. That's U.S. maritime law, I suppose. And I read this morning that 33 cruise ships in the last year passed the inspection with 100%, total 100% grade, not a speck of dust or issues. The inspectors gave them a complete 100% grade. One ship is a big winner. It's Holland America's Eurodam. The Eurodam has had 13 consecutive 100% scores in a row. 13 times. So, if you're thinking about going on a cruise and you happen to see a really good deal on the Eurodam, chances are you're going to be on a pretty clean vessel. They run a pretty clean ship. Whoever the captain is and whoever the hotel manager is and the kitchen supervisor, whoever those people are on the Eurodam, 13 in a row, baby. They're doing it right. And I'm sure they're really proud of that. And I can just imagine the pressure is on whenever they come back to a U.S. port, from their latest cruise, because they're wondering, is today the day that, these two inspectors are going to show up? And are we ready? You can imagine the day before any cruise ship comes back to the United States to offload passengers and pick up new passengers. You can imagine the sanitizers are out. The cleaning crew is going full tilt. The kitchen staff is just, scrubbing the place up and down. The refrigeration systems are being checked. The air conditioning systems are everything has to be in perfect working order. And on the Eurodam, the pressure is even higher because, you got a 13 inspection winning streak on the line of absolute 100% perfection. And you want to keep that streak going. So I can imagine they're under more pressure than a ship that gets a 98. That was a pretty cool thing to read about. And then I read today, I found out today about Carnival talking about bringing their ships in for a dry dock. Carnival brings ships in, like all the other lines do the same thing. Every 5 years, you'll take a cruise ship and you'll take it out of service for anywhere from a quick 2-week turnaround up to maybe an 8-week major refurbishment. And you'll bring the ship in, whether it's into the U.S. or whether it's in Europe somewhere or in Asia. It all depends on the line, where the ship usually is plying its trade, and the kind of work that needs to be done on the cruise ship. If it's a major refurbishment, likely it'll be in Germany, where they build them in the first place, or Italy, known also. But there are places in the U.S. where they can bring the ships in for the 2-week, 3-week, 4-week turnaround, and they'll literally bring the cruise ship right into a dock after having, of course, offloaded the passengers, a couple days before at the last port of call. Obviously, they'll then bring it into a dock. They'll drain the water out. The ship will be sitting on blocks, literally, and now they can work underneath the ships. They can replace motors, replace propellers, whatever they have to do. And then, of course, they get into the decks themselves. And normally, a quick 2-week turnaround, you're talking about replacing every mattress on the cruise ship. Right? Just think about the logistics of a cruise ship, like a medium-sized cruise ship of 3,000 passengers, and you're going to replace the mattresses. It's your job to replace. You got to order 3,000 mattresses that fit perfectly every cabin, because some cabins are king size, queen size. Then you gotta figure out the bedding. You got to figure out how to get the old ones off. Where do they go? Every state has its rules as to how to handle used mattresses. Then the new ones have to be brought in. And I don't know when the last time is you bought a mattress, but when you buy a mattress, it comes usually wrapped in plastic to keep it clean. Well, you get it into the room, and then the installers, they have to cut the plastic out and put the mattress down. You got to get rid of the plastic. It's got to get off the ship. Can you imagine how much of this, the logistic of this, just this one function, is mind-numbing to me that you're gonna actually handle that. And all the bedding gets replaced, the towels get replaced. A lot of those overcoats that you wear around the pool, they'll shovel those in and out, because they get worn out, that type of thing. And then you've got carpeting everywhere, especially in high traffic areas. tile work to be done, lighting to be replaced. We're talking about a major work to be done. This is a 2-week deal. The 3 weeks, the 4 weeks, it goes on and on. Paint. The Carnival right now is putting in new restaurants in some of their ships, and now they're adding on the older ships. They've been adding these giant TV screens on the outside at the pool deck, because every cruise ship now has a giant movie screen on the outside of the ship, so you can watch movies at night and TV during the day or whatever's on. And now the other big thing is you haven't got an ocean liner, a cruise ship to speak of, unless you've got a water slide. And you can't just have one little old tube that just goes around and around. Oh, no. You got to have a 5, 6, 7-story high water slide with multiple tubes to handle 2 or 3 or 4 people at a time. And you've got to install the water systems, the pumping systems, and the pure filtration systems and everything else. We're talking serious money, folks, serious investment with these retrofits. Carnival, just Carnival alone, over the next 14 months, they're going to retrofit 9 ships in the next 14 months. That's how active they are on their fleet. And of course, Carnival owns Princess Cruise Lines. They own Holland America. All those get done. And then, of course, Royal Caribbean has their line, including Celebrity. And then there's Norwegian and all the other smaller lines. Every 5 years. And right now, I think we have over 300 cruise ships in the business. That's 60 cruise ships a year getting retrofitted. And I think 15 to 20 new cruise ships being launched every year being added to the fleet. So my goodness, the industry is just at a full tilt here, and it's in high gear. And suppliers are under unbelievable pressure. If you're the supplier of those mattresses, they better be at that port the day before that ship gets there, or there's hell to pay. You'll have penalties. I mean, cash penalties. These cruise ships, the military precision, the workers are all waiting for that ship to arrive. I wouldn't be surprised in the last week of the ship's regular run, they've already got workers on board in certain areas of the ship, prepping the ship for the retrofit that's coming. It's unbelievable. Just looking here at PK. Love the movie with popcorn, an ice cream cone, and a blanket. Surprised how much. Definitely a positive. You bet. PK, tell us, where are you watching me from, and what's your high temperature today? We're asking everybody that's watching, how warm did it get in your hometown today? Because here in Creston, it's sunny, but we only got up to about 35, 36, maybe 38 degrees at the high today. The sun here is going to set the next half an hour, and it's going to go dark. So let me know where you're from. Welcome aboard. Yeah, these outdoor movie theaters, what a fantastic move by the cruise ship to do this, because you got to think, you're sitting outside and you're enjoying that popcorn. Guess what? Popcorn's salty. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to order a beer, or you're going to order a drink or something from the bar and just charge it to your room or on your drink card. Smart. Oh, that's me, Paula. Sorry, Paula. I didn't notice that. Anyway, these outdoor venues are just a gold mine for these cruise ships. Just a gold mine. The longer they can keep you out of your room, basically, and on the ship somewhere that isn't in your room, you might spend money. And so if they can get you in the casino when you're at sea, or if they can get you into a specialty restaurant, or you could buy just that one extra beer for $2.50 or $3 or whatever the price of the thing is, with that tip, it all adds up. You're talking thousands and thousands of passengers every night of that cruise. And yeah, these outdoor TVs are fantastic. My wife and I were on a Princess Cruise during the Super Bowl, and we watched the Super Bowl game on the outdoor TV. We were just off the coast of Mexico on a Princess Cruise, and it was great. We had the loungers, and they gave us these blankets to keep us warm, because it got into the into the mid-50s in the evening. We weren't suffering from wind because we were barely moving. We were moving along, but we were down lower where the pool was, and the ship deflects the wind over top. And so we had our blankets on, and we watched the whole game outdoor on this giant screen. And I believe it was Seattle against the Denver Broncos, and Seattle won that game. And the Bronco fans were so sad. They were so happy when the game started, and they were just glum as the game went on, especially in the first half. It was almost over. So Seattle just killed them in the first 30 minutes, and it didn't end well for the Broncos. What are you going to do? Anyway, that was that. The last thing I'm going to mention today is a couple of repositioning cruises I noticed today. I'm keeping an eye now open for repositioning cruises to see just how many, how many are coming on and what kind of deals are being offered. Found two that look really interesting. Norwegian, in this case, has both of these that caught my eye. You can take the Norwegian Jade cruise ship. I've been on that ship, great ship. Holds about 2,400 people, 2,600 people. They just refurbished it about 6, 8 months ago. So it's just been refurbished completely. You can go from Miami to Southampton, all the way up to the UK, and $549 is the cost of the cruise, and it is a 13-night cruise. So, we're talking $40 a night. It's an inside room, but for $40 a night, including your meals and all amenities, that's a giveaway. That's absolute. I call that free. If you take a balcony, you're paying about 300 more, $849 a person. But still, for 13 nights, 839 or $879, what a bargain! So that's the first one. And the second repositioning cruise is on the Norwegian Star. And it's kind of the same size ship as the Jade. This is a 14-night cruise from Miami to Barcelona in Spain. And that one is $679. So it's only 130 more, but you get an extra night. And so for 2 weeks, $680, let's round it off. That's $340 a week on a cruise ship with all your meals. Man, what a deal. You leave on April 22nd on the Star. You leave on April the 21st on the Jade. You arrive in Europe in early May. The weather is fantastic in early May, especially in Spain. And you'd be crazy not to spend a week or two in Spain or France once you get to Barcelona and enjoy the sights and then fly home from there. And if you fly home from Barcelona, it might be a little tricky to North America. Not so many direct flights, but you take one of those high-speed trains that Spain is now becoming famous for, and you end up in, say, Madrid, or you work your way on the high-speed line through Spain into France, and you're on the high-speed train in France to Paris. You can get a one-way flight home from Paris, or take the Channel train under the Channel to London and come home from Heathrow or Gatwick. You can find a one-way deal. And boy, you take that repositioning cruise over there, and then you take a one-way flight back from a nice airport with high traffic, and you got yourself a great holiday at a great price. Anyway, I'll find more of these repositioning cruises as the days and weeks come on, because the prices on some of these repos are still high, and they slowly come down and down as we get closer to February now, and then March, because these are departing in March and April, and the cruise lines want to fill them up as much as possible, because they're hoping that even if you only pay $540, $500, $600, $700 to get on the ship, you went on cheap. They're hoping that you're going to spend some time in the casino while you're on board. After all, you're in international waters for 13 days. So what else are you going to do? Maybe you'll hit the bar and you'll do some spa treatment. They'll get some money out of you another way. And the staff has something to do. The staff is employed and engaged and has got customers to look after, and rooms have to be cleaned. The ship has to be maintained. So they might as well have customers on board, and they got the cash flow going. And so great for the cruiser, great for the cruise line, and the ship gets repositioned to where it has to go so that they can start cruises in Northern Europe or in the Mediterranean area for the spring, summer, and fall. And then, of course, the repos come back to the Caribbean. Anyway, that's it for today. I want to thank those of you who've joined me live today. This video becomes a regular video now in the next 10, 15 minutes, and it'll just be on my channel like all my other videos, and people can watch it whenever they want. And I'm going to look at doing my next live probably tomorrow, and I'll keep doing the live videos, and hopefully we'll build the audience up and find more people with questions. Anything you want to know about cruising, you just let me know. Thanks, Paula, for your comments. The casino is great too. Lost at the slots, won at the table. Hey, I've won at the slots, but I've also lost at the slots, and I usually lose more than I win. Go figure. Love the slot tournaments though; they're kind of fun. Thanks for the others who are watching today, and anyone else who kind of popped by. We'll see you next time. This is Bruce with Traveling with Bruce saying we'll see you next time on YouTube. See ya. Bye-bye. I can find the button, I'll shut it off. Here we go. See ya.